Who would you say would benefit from this podcast the most?
Yeah, so definitely all those people that are currently involved with a growing startup. So that would be founders themselves, but also co-founders, leaders that have been hired, or people that have grown with the company that were early employees and are now typically like middle managers or VPs at that startup. Right. Then there are also founders and employees of companies that are not quite at that growth stage yet, but that anticipate and aspire to be there soon, right? So they think they'll be hitting product market fit anytime now, and then hopefully they'll be in that turmoil. They'll want to be prepared for what's coming next. And then, of course, there's all the people just interested in startups and supporting them. So first and foremost, investors, but also angels, advisors, consultants, and potential employees for future startups as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, this highlights another differentiator between working for a startup versus a mature company. Because I see a lot of employees, or I should say candidates, applying for positions, and they read the job description, says, "Oh, I've done this before, I can apply," but they don't really know what it's like to be working in a startup environment, right? And it's a whole different approach, and they can also benefit from this.
Not only that, Nick, but it's also strangely the employees and sometimes even the hiring managers in the startup who do not realize what a big difference it is. So the other day I was talking to a client in Singapore, and he said, I got this candidate through my headhunter. What do you think? And I took one look at the CV, and I said, I think you should fire the headhunter, because seriously, this company is about 150 employees. So yes, a well-grown startup, I would say, right? But the candidate that the headhunter had come up with was a candidate that had only worked in companies of $1 billion or more. So typically 10,000 employees or more. And so I said, like that headhunter obviously has no idea that a head of that function in a large company is totally different job from doing that same thing at a startup, even at growing startups like yours.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, hiring probably is a whole different podcast on its own. And hiring for startups, it's a big, and happens to be one of my interest areas. So any one of those people tuning in to your show, what do you think would be the benefits of tuning in? What will they take away by spending half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour of conversation?
I think a lot of practical tips on how do you deal with all those growing pains in a startup at the moment that they arise. We also try to always take a generalist perspective. So not only focus on hiring, as you said, or not only focused on marketing, or not only focused on dealing with technical scaling issues, but really what's the big picture in between all those functions, right? So how do I wear my CEO hat, my founder hat, and look at the big picture of how do I drive this company forward? And so this is often kind of like management training in a box, if you will. It's the kind of stuff that people have not learned in school yet, or if they haven't had it in an MBA, let's say. It's about learning about all these different functions and how they fit together to create value for the customer together, and then to make that process more repeatable, more scalable, so that you actually can get to that product market dominance that would, show the result of your startup as a big successful company.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're so right. I actually experienced a scenario exactly as you described only today. I have a, a co-founder, and he is in charge of growth. So I asked him to prepare a strategic plan for all the initiatives that he's planning to put in place. And I gave him, look, this is not numbers. This is just a simple list of all the initiatives answering the five W's. And let's first agree on that. Let's get aligned on what the initiatives are, what the objectives are. And then we're going to move on to how we're going to measure the success of those programs. And then we're going to move on to creating a model, not projections, a model